lights on the airways hum. Hear the tales of where they're from. Stories whispered, not in lies. Jobs they held through changing times.
Story time. So I'm going to be very, very real with you. For those who don't know this, you have stumbled onto Amplify Your Signal with Nicole Roberts. This is a podcast that I created for job seekers and for people in transition. My entire goal with this podcast is to create a platform and a space for people who have found themselves on the other side of unemployment in a place where they can be without shame, without fear. And I can use the power of my network and my platform to literally amplify their signal. I don't understand the purpose of having the networks and the size of networks that we have if we are not going to use it to share other people's stories and to lift them up. We've had several people that have since gotten a full-time job after being on the podcast. And so wonderful for them, grateful for those opportunities for them, love that for them. One thing that I have been super intentional about as in my own career journey, as most people know, if you don't, now you do. In December of 2022, I was laid off from my job at a tech startup and diagnosed with breast cancer within 9 days of each other. And I'm a single mom, so that was scary. My first appointment with my surgeon was the next day. My first appointment with my medical oncologist was the day after that. My tumor was 7 by 3 by 6 centimeters. And so, I could hold on to it. I definitely knew it was there. It was already in my lymph nodes, all this scary stuff, right? But I never one time entertained the thought in my head that I was not going to beat this and that was the end of my story. If anything, I was grateful to be given a second chance and to do life differently. So I know I've shared before, I was bought in to the culture of exhaustion, to hustling for worth, to must have this certain job title by this certain milestone in my life. And I'm grateful that I got the opportunity to do things differently because not everybody gets that opportunity. I was 40 years old when I found the lump. I was just over 41 when I was finally diagnosed because I advocated for myself. The first doctor that I went to see basically told me that I was wasting his time and shooed me out of his office. And so I waited 6 months to go and to get a second opinion simply because my lump had doubled in size and it was scaring me by then. And I thought, what have I done? What did I do out of fear? Because maybe I was in denial a little bit that maybe this really could be something major. Maybe this really could be cancer. Maybe I just didn't want to deal with it at 41 years old and a single mom of 2 kids in high school, right? Like was not what I wanted to do. And how often do we not do things because we're simply afraid? And so I was forced out of my comfort zone and forced out of my fear of what if I go see this doctor and he tells me that, there's nothing wrong with me and he doesn't know what's wrong with me. But I had to, for the sake of my children, if nothing else, I had to go and I had to find out. And so I did. And it was bad. And when they did the biopsies, there was cancer in not only the entire lump, but it was already in my lymph nodes as well. And so that's why my treatment plan was chemo first in the hope of shrinking down the cancer so that I could have the surgery and try to get clear margins when I did the double mastectomy and had all of the lymph nodes in this side removed. So overcoming fear, right? And I got a card from one of my dear friends as I was going through the journey. I know that I've showed before. If you're just listening, you can't see this, but in every episode, there is a picture behind me. It's actually a canvas that I have glued cards to. And these are not even all of the cards that I received as I was going through my treatment and my journey and my multiple surgeries and radiation and all of those things. But one of the cards that I received said, "You do not have to be fearless. Doing it afraid is just as brave." And I have to tell you that after losing my job almost 2 years to the date, so one was December 12th of 2022, the other was December 13th of 2024. After losing my job almost 2 years to the date afterwards of the cancer journey, I was in another situation where I was afraid, and I was still a single mom. I had just bought a house in June, and I had lost my job. And I started People Solutions Group while I was going through chemo. Who does that? Who starts a business when they're going through chemo? But I was a single mom, and I had to first and foremost take care of me and my kids. And so I started the business. I was doing some subcontracting. I was doing some consulting. Incredibly grateful for the people that were part of that journey and even let me subcontract as part of their own consulting company. Like, what an abundance mindset to have, that they were like, "Come on in, be part of our team. And here's some work that you can do that helps us and helps our client, but also helps you, that you can pay your car payment, pay your mortgage." Very, very grateful that going through that journey, that I was able to keep my condo that I lived in at the time. I was able to stay current on things. That's not what happens. That's not everybody's story when they go through a cancer journey. And so finding myself unemployed again, I thought to myself, okay, well, I started that business when I was sick, and I was able to have the relationships that I had, and was able to make the connections that I did when I was sick, when I wasn't 100%. If I could do that then, what could I do now as I'm healthy? And so I began a parallel journey and have asked for God's guidance in this. And part of that journey was looking for another full-time job, with the caveat that I would still be able to teach and facilitate HR certification courses for HCI. I absolutely love doing that. And that's table stakes for me. Whatever my next opportunity looks like, I have to be able to do that. And then the other piece was, if a full-time job isn't in the cards and isn't what God's next step for me is, then what can I do to continue to build the business? And so a piece of that also was, and what can I do to give back? I have been on volunteer boards for at least the last 10, 15 years of my career. I'm on a board of trustees for a local nonprofit in town that supports domestic violence or trafficking. And there's also a prevention aspect, which is amazing, teaching the healthy relationship so people don't get into that situation to need to be rescued from it. But there was also a daily onslaught on my LinkedIn of people that said that they were open to work and that they were now free agents and freelancers and all these fancy words that we try to say to make us feel better, that we have now found ourselves without a job. And so I thought, what can I do to help them? And that is why I created the podcast. I thought, well, if it starts with an A, then if somebody has not discovered it before, it'll be at the top of the list when they're browsing new podcasts. I always say that I'm amplifying the signal of somebody when I say commenting for reach, amplifying your signal, right? So there was some strategy in it, and also just what I wanted to name the podcast. And so I've been on this journey for the last 9 months. And actually, today is September 12th, so it's been exactly 9 months since I lost my job. And I am just incredibly grateful for the people that I have met along the way, for the way that I can still take care of myself, and my daughter lives with me full time. And because of the relationships and the doors opened and the things, and another piece of that as well is I have been a member in a volunteer capacity of a global advisory board for a company called 360 Insights. And so their focus is on research and analysis of the HR tech industry, which is fascinating to me. Obviously, I was an end user of it. I was a decision maker. I was a purchaser of it, but the actual tech itself always fascinated me because everybody knows I'm a super nerd. And so I've been exploring the analyst side of that. And I've been able to attend some briefings. And even this morning, I attended one, and it was a multinational vendor. They had such a unique interface where it was all in one place, no matter what your role was in the organization, if you were the admin, the manager, the employee. And it was just really fascinating. And I was so grateful that I got to be there and learn that. And it also gives you energy to learn new things and to meet new people. And after that, there is a local networking group that has started its I'm going to forget the name of it, so I'm going to look it up because we all have the attention span of an Etch-a-Sketch and the memory of a goldfish. So it is called the Centerville Ladies Social Dining Club, and it is run by Hallie, and Hallie is amazing, and I met her for the first time today because although I am a textbook introvert and I get very nervous going to new places by myself when I don't know anyone, they were throwing a luncheon today that was honoring cancer survivors. And so I thought, well, at the very least, I want to show up and I want to meet other cancer survivors and I want to share my story. I want to tell people to advocate for themselves because I would not be here if I wouldn't have gotten my second opinion and gotten the treatment that I needed when I got it. And so I remembered the quote of, "You don't have to be fearless, doing it afraid is just as brave." And I thought, you know what? I can be scared and still go. And maybe I'll go and I'll meet somebody and they will be just as scared as me. Or maybe I'll go and I'll meet somebody and I'll be vulnerable enough to tell them that I was scared and I was not sure if I was going to go. Because I have registered for events with this group before and something or another had happened that either there was illness either with me or with my daughter, or there was just something that happened and all of a sudden I couldn't go anymore. And probably a little bit on the inside, I was secretly relieved because I didn't have to go outside of my comfort zone and meet a bunch of people that had already met each other. And so I decided I was going to go. And we were supposed to wear pink. And so I've got on my pink, and this is a full dress. You can't tell with the video, and I'm not going to stand up and twirl. But I put on my pink dress and I put on my heels and I got in my car and I drove there and I sat down next to somebody who literally called me over to sit, had never met her before. And she said, "You can sit right here. What's your name?" And I put my little name tag on and I introduced myself and I met about 6 new ladies today that I had not known before. People were not cliquey. People were not catty. They were inclusive. I felt like I belonged and it was amazing. And I was actually sad when it was time to go because I was enjoying meeting people and learning their stories. And I thought, man, my daughter, first of all, is going to be so proud of me that I went and did that. But I'm so proud of myself for doing that. And now I have met people that live in my same area because it's one thing to do a networking thing where it's virtual and you want to have those relationships and have those virtual relationships, but it's still not the same as meeting people in person and the hugs when we parted. And I just want to say to anybody that is in transition that you found out that you're not part of the go forward strategy with your company. And there is a period of time that you mourn that. Absolutely. Don't stay home and isolate yourself and avoid meeting people just because you're scared, because you can be scared and do it anyways. And so our mantra is going to continue to be that you don't have to be fearless. Doing it afraid is just as brave. And so I hope that you take the opportunity and you be brave in some way, shape, or form. And I would love to hear about it. If you do, you can comment on YouTube and LinkedIn and Spotify and Apple Podcasts and Instagram. And trust me, there's ways to find me. And I want to know about your victories and what you tried and what you're doing scared. And if I can help you, and if you want to share your story on the platform, we've had 10 guests so far, and I absolutely love doing this and sharing these stories. If you would like to be a guest, I would absolutely love to have you. I will have the link to the guest intake form in the show notes of the podcast. I have a very simple form where you share your social links and you share your bio and you share your headshot. After you complete that, then you'll get a link to schedule time with me on my calendar, and we'll meet for 30 minutes or as long as it takes to make you comfortable with the process. And then we'll schedule our time to record your episode. And I would love to share your story. So appreciate all of the thoughts, prayers, well wishes, all of the things, all the birthday wishes that I've gotten in the last couple of weeks, because obviously turning another year older is a blessing in itself. And aging is a privilege denied to so many people. I'm so incredibly grateful to be here for another year. And so I just wanted to share my own thoughts for this week's episode. I know that I did it before as the How to Be an Ally to a Cancer Survivor, and I will periodically share my own thoughts in my own solo episode. And another piece of this is that I have really enjoyed meeting the people that I would not have met had I not been brave and accepted the invitation or joined the group. And so if there's nothing else that I can leave you with this week as you're going through your own journey, it's do it scared, but keep on going, keep on doing it. I know that you're going through a hard time. I know that it's a jungle out there in the job market. I know how it is out there. Trust me, I do. Also, think back to if you have been placed in your most recent role. Think about how you were placed into that. You don't want to be the best kept secret in your network. And you also don't want to assume that just because you told people months ago that you were open to work, that they still remember that you are. And if you choose to have the LinkedIn banner or to not, that is your choice. I wish you all so much luck and love you all. And I appreciate you supporting the podcast. We may be partnering with a network for the podcast, and so that would be very exciting. I'm praying on it, seeing if that's the right move for us. But I just want you to know that you are not alone. Also, there are a couple of people that I'll do like a virtual coffee with, and we can be accountability buddies while you work through things and what you're doing. And I just want to share your successes. And we'll have some episodes coming up in the future where we'll talk to some of the people that have been on the show as a job seeker, and now they are loving their new roles. And we'll talk about what their strategies were and what they felt was successful for them. So yeah, do it scared. It's okay if you're scared, but just keep going and keep doing it. And we're going to live by that mantra and know that you've got an entire cheering section in pink here with your Amplify Your Signal family. So I have a few guests coming up that I'm really excited for you to meet. And so more on that later, but I hope you have a wonderful week. And thank you so much for watching and for subscribing and following and whatever it is that you're doing. I just thank you so much for that, because it helps us to reach more people. And that is 100% my goal.
Pages blank, but hearts alive. Through their journeys, they still strive. Tales of passion, grit, and grace. Every journey